A group of kids will be stalked by hungry sharks. Will they survive? Hi guys, I'm Andrew, and today I'll tell you about shark territory. This story begins with a girl named Lindsay, who was staring at the sea like a slacker, since her sister is a YouTuber dedicated to adventure blogs and had convinced them to help her. The group consists of the blonde boyfriend, Kaya as the girl of color, Evans as the Korean guy, and Paige as the influencer. All very excited about their trip, but apparently the pilot didn't want to take them, since the seaplane had no communication, but Paige managed to convince him. So later we'll see them happily on board, talking about new videos for the channel. But then an accident occurred, which made everyone scared shitless, and as one wing of the seaplane was torn off, Paige and the Asian guy were thrown out, and the rest crashed into the sea. Although afterward, we see that Lindsay managed to survive, but now she was alone in the middle of the sea, or at least that's what she thought, until she saw a fin pass by, which frightened her, but found Kaya and her boyfriend, whom she told about the fin. And since they couldn't find the others, Lindsay started to panic, when suddenly they ran into the pilot, who was badly injured, but despite this managed to tell them that on the next island there were provisions and that they needed to find the emergency beacon to call for help. So Kaya went to look for it, but only managed to find an inflatable boat. And once she got on, Lindsay helped her unwrap it, not realizing that something had caught the pilot, or at least not until they got on the boat. But then they saw that Seth was swimming toward the island, all to get the provisions. So Lindsay jumped off the boat to stop him, but then 3 sharks appeared, and one of them caught Seth, leaving Lindsay paralyzed with fear. But after 1,000 years, she managed to react and started swimming toward the boat. Knowing she wouldn't make it, she asked Kaya for the shark's distance, managing to outsmart the shark, which gave her a chance to get on the boat at the last moment. Kaya, being nice, started to comfort her, and after a while, told her a story from her military life, where her best friend had died to save her, implying that's why she couldn't give up. So they tried to recover the emergency beacon to call for help. But to do so, they had to find an oxygen tank, and once they got it, Kaya tried to reach for something, but then a shark came out of nowhere trying to attack her, although luckily, Lindsay managed to save her. But then the shark returned and hit the boat, causing both of them to fall into the water. So scared they huddled together to defend themselves. But then one of the sharks caught Kaya, and while it was chewing on her, she yelled at Lindsay to run to the boat. So she swam like crazy, barely surviving, and after several hours she could see a ship, so she tried, asking for help, but it was useless. So desperate, she put on the equipment to search for the emergency beacon. But then she got scared, so she remembered her friends, who always encouraged her, which gave her courage, and she threw herself toward her death, swimming until she reached the tail of the seaplane. And once inside, she began searching through all the boxes until she finally found it. But then she heard something strange and terrified, saw how the sharks were coming toward her, but Lindsay managed to scare them away with the device, though not for long. So she swam like hell trying to get back to the boat. But since the tank was too heavy, she had to remove it first, and although it seemed like she was going to be done for, she finally managed to outsmart the shark, leaving her more pissed off than ever. And due to the trauma, she began to go crazy. But there was no time to waste, since she had lost the emergency beacon, and her only hope was to reach the island. So she started rowing for hours, when suddenly she saw one of her friends, who seemed to be unconscious. So she tried to help him, but while pulling him up, she realized the boy had no legs, and then another shark appeared out of nowhere, who ended up swallowing him, leaving Lindsay with only the helmet, which had a camera with which she recorded a farewell message. And as she was losing her sanity, she decided to do what was best in that situation: suicide. But then she remembered her friends, so in the end, she didn't dare to do it. So she had no choice but to continue her journey until reaching the island. And just when it seemed she was going to make it, somehow the boat began to collapse, and obviously, the sharks were already waiting for her. So frightened, she started rowing faster, trying to reach the platform. And as she was running out of time, she had no choice but to jump into the water, where she began to swim as fast as she could, barely managing to climb onto the platform. Although, of course, with an injured hand. But don't worry, because there were bandages along with other provisions, including an old radio that seemed not to work, and also a flare gun, which she used to try to call for help. After some time, Lindsay saw that her sister was floating in the water as the current had carried her there. She had a broken leg, so Lindsay threw her a rope to help her. But then the sharks appeared again, so Lindsay hurried to pull the rope, saving her at the last moment. Once safe, Lindsay told her that the sharks had swallowed their friends, so they hugged to console each other. Lindsay then began to bandage her sister's leg, but then the radio started to sound, as apparently a ship had found them. They got excited, but then one of the sharks hit the ship, causing one of the crew members to fall, and his companion, trying to help him, ended up getting his arm ripped off, falling into the water as well. Yes, stupid crew members, but there was no time to waste since now no one would come for them, so they decided to try to reach the ship on their own. Then we see a flashback where Lindsay is with her boyfriend, but then her friends appeared to invite them to breakfast since all the subscribers talked a lot about them, so they proposed that they fake a breakup to get a lot of views, but Lindsay obviously didn't accept. And then we see them holding a rock, as they intended to hit the shark with it, so they started acting tough trying to attract it. But since it didn't work, Lindsay jumped into the water as if to get herself killed. But before it could catch her, her sister dropped the rock, making the shark go completely stiff, and her brothers, being cannibals, started to devour it and then tried to repeat everything. But since there were no more rocks, they tried to get a harpoon that was coincidentally there. Although first, they had to distract the sharks, so they threw the bloody bandage into the water while Lindsay went for the harpoon. But then the sharks started chasing her, so she tried to paddle back, and as her sister saw she was going to be in trouble, she took a knife and jumped in to defend her. But then another shark bit her, so she stabbed it in the eye with a knife, which gave them a chance to escape alive. But Paige was badly injured, so she apologized to Lindsay for bringing her there and confessed that she had always been envious of her for being the favorite and apparently secretly loved her boyfriend, but never said anything so she could be happy, and after telling her she loved her, died in her arms, leaving her sister devastated. So, enraged, she tied the harpoon to attract another shark, and when it appeared, she shot it right in the mouth. But this barely tickled it, so she started throwing gasoline at it and then set it on fire with the flare gun. But while it was roasting, another shark appeared, who took her sister's body, eating it in one bite. And as Lindsay was losing her mind, she jumped into the water trying to reach the boat, and obviously, the shark started to taste her. But somehow she managed to survive, which the shark didn't like at all. So desperately, she tried to make the boat work, but nothing worked. So she kept searching until she found a radio. Oh, but it didn't work either.
Oh god fucking damn it!
And then she fell unconscious while remembering her boyfriend telling her not to give up. But then the shark's blows woke her up, so she managed to make a weapon with the oxygen tank, and when the shark jumped to eat her, Lindsay threw the tank at it, piercing its skull, thus managing to survive. And moments later, we see that many boats were going to rescue her, and 3 months later, she made a final video on her channel to tell her subscribers that her friends now lived in their hearts. Remember to like the video.